Before we start doing more interesting things, we need to understand what we are going to work with. So there's something called variables, and I would like us to look into variables in a short while before we can begin. But before we talk about variables, when you want to run cells in Python, there's something called a comment, and you can always leave a comment using this hash where you can write something like a string. And this means that every time you're going to run this, it is going to be ignored. So for example, if I put this here and then I'm going to run like test, then it is only going to run the second one. Now, assume you have a rectangle and you want to calculate the area of a rectangle. To calculate the area of a rectangle, you're going to use length times width. So you have a rectangle with the length 10 and a width 15. So that is going to be 10 multiplied by 15, you're going to get 150. You can always do any mathematical operations in Python, and that is going to be a simple thing, but we are going to come back to that way later. But then, now let's assume you have 50, 60, 70 rectangles, and you want to calculate the area for each. So instead of always coming back to type this one here, you can define this as a variable. So what we usually call a variable is something whose value keeps changing. For example, if you define L as equal to 10 and W as equal to 15, now when we run this cell and we run this cell here and come down here and assign, so when we are going to run L, we are going to get the value of L is now going to be 10. Python is clever in the sense that every time you assign a variable, it is going to identify what type of a variable that is. For example, L is a letter, but now when we input L down here, it becomes a number, 10. When we want to calculate the area of a rectangle, it's going to be length multiplied by width. And now that is going to be 150. It is exactly the same thing up here. Now, if we change this, for example, to 20 and run this cell, then we are going to have 300 here. Now, there's one thing that you need to know. Running the cells usually captures the information in a chronological order. If we have L here as 20 and W here as 15, now if we had another, for example, L down here, and I want to assign this value, in this time I'm going to assign this value as 25, and then I will run this. Now, when I calculate the area of a circle, it is going to be 375. But this is not the same as this. So 20 multiplied by 15 is supposed to be 300. So what usually happens is the last cell that we ran with the value L is going to store L as 25. So it is going to override anything that was previously saved. So you need to be very careful with the order in which you are assigning your variables. Another thing, this language is case sensitive. What do we mean? If, for example, you have a letter A and you assign it the value 11, and you have another uppercase A and you assign it the value 15, they are not the same thing. So it means A assigned the value 11 is going to output A. But then if we put capital A here, it's going to give us what? An error, because we have not defined A yet. So this A and this A are two different things. So if we want to define this A clearly, then we have to run this cell here because it contains an A. And now we can come back here and now we have our value as 15. So it means the value of A, the lowercase a, is 11 and the value of the uppercase A is 15. So if I want to calculate the area of a rectangle with length A and width capital A, I'm going to multiply the two and I'm going to find this value. It is not just with numbers, you can also assign values with text. And you can see here, in that case, you are going to have to input your double quote, and now we are going to have L as the name here, and you can see it has the string. For example, if I assigned L and I did not input the double quotes, then this is going to give us an error. Why? Because this one here is going to be seen as a variable and we have not defined a variable called name anywhere. So to make this a string, we're going to add either a single quote or a double quote, and then now we are going to have L assigned the new value. But then we said Python is clever, but then how many data types do we have? We have only seen two. We have this number and we have this text, but there are many other data types. So think about data types as the way in which the machine will understand what that letter means. So we have different data types, and here we're going to talk about around 7. We can have numeric data types, we can have text data types, we can have sequence data types, Boolean, and we are going to talk about each very briefly. But let's begin with the simple one, the text data type. So a text data type simply stores textual information, and it is going to be assigned strings. So when we say, for example, your name is Alex, and you want to save that into a variable, so we are going to have a variable here where we are going to input your name, and each string variable is going to have double quotes. Now, for example, this one here is going to be seen as a string. Why? Because it has double quotes. So if I run this B, and to check the data type, the only thing you need to do is type this word. The only thing that you need to do is to type this word and then enter the name of the variable and run. So here you can see it is written string. But up here, if I run this cell and then I want to see the data type of this variable, which is letter A, then that is going to be an integer data type. Why? Because it has been assigned using a double quote. So a string simply stores textual data or numeric data that is actually quoted within a text. And you can also store every other thing like special characters and stuff, but it has to be within double quotes. Then we also have the types of numbers. Okay, in this context, so we have an integer, a whole number, like how many are you in that room? If you're one person, it's just one. You can't be 1.5. Even if you're pregnant, I think you can't be 1.5. Yeah. So it's either you're 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4. That is the numeric data type. People, animals, cars. So it is assigned the value, a whole number value. So that is going to be called an integer data type, and it's simply going to be assigned as this. As I said, these data types are usually easy for you to assign because Python will always identify them. Then there's a second one called a float. A float simply contains a decimal point, like your age is 25.5 years old. And now when you run this cell and then check the type, it's going to tell you this is a float. And there are a lot of types of floats, but we are not going there. Then there's also a complex number. For example, what is the square root of -6? So that is going to contain some element of a number, which is a floating point, I think. Then the other one is going to be a complex number. So we are interested in the complex part, but we are not going to use that in this case. And it's very rare that we are going to use it anywhere, actually. So it is usually assigned a number like 2, like 9, like 91, or 915. But at the end, you're going to have to put a letter J. So when you input, every time you assign a variable and you input the letter J, it is going to be understood as a complex number. And now when we check this type here, it's always written as complex. There's also something called Boolean data types. So Booleans are usually used for conditional logic and switches. So we'll come to talk about that in a short while, but it's simply assigned true or false. Are you subscribed to the management diary? If it's yes, then it's true. If it's no, then it is false. So that means it is a Boolean data type, true or false. And I hope it is true. Now, you can assign that using this word true, but with the first letter being uppercase. Now, every time you see a word with this different color, in this case I can see it is green, that is what we call a keyword. So keywords are words that you should never be using to assign your variables. So if you call a variable, for example, true is equals to 61, so every other time this code is going to create some confusion because true means something else in Python. Now, if we run this, then it means X is going to be true and the data type is Boolean. And then another option, you can have it as false, which is also Boolean. Secondly, we have the binary data type for dealing with raw data bytes. And this is going to be things like images, files, or network packets. But as for now, you only need to understand this exists. You are going to meet it a couple of times, but very rarely. Actually, if I get to think about it, I don't get to meet it quite often. But there are three types. So there can be bytes, byte arrays, and memory view. And this is how they are assigned. So this is for bytes. For byte arrays, you have to assign it with the keyword byte array. And finally, for memory view is you're going to have to assign with the keyword memory view. Now, the difference here comes in bytes are usually unchangeable sequence of numbers. So, sequence of bytes. And then when we come to byte array, these ones, you can actually change them. But for memory view, Python allows you to code to access the internal data of the object, so without actually having to copy it. So that is where now we get to use the memory view. But when we will get to need it in future, we'll always come back to talk about it. Now, this further part is more interesting. The sets are going to be something you meet very, very frequently. A set is usually assigned using curly braces. If you look up here, everything has been using these brackets. But now we are using curly braces. So every time you use a curly brace in Python, you're going to, there's somewhere else we're going to meet it. But in this case now, in the first one is going to be a set. If we run this and we check the type, these are types of phones. This is an iPhone, Samsung, and Google Pixel. Then it is going to give me, this is a set. But let's say you are entering your data and you found, for example, that this set has, let's say, a repetition of numbers like G. So the Google Pixel was repeated. It is going to have to remove this first one here and actually save only the unique identifiers. So G, I, and S. This is going to be very important. For example, you want to calculate how many unique instances do we have in a data type? How many unique instances do we have in a certain array? So you are going to have to assign it as a set, and then it is always going to collapse everything, and now you can count the size of elements of a set. Another way you can use curly braces, so you see here a set uses curly braces, but there's also under maps or mapping. And mapping simply means if you want to define a user, you can, for example, have the name, and I want you to just look at the syntax. Syntax is how the code is written. So here, this is the variable, then this is the name, this is the variable, and then this is the value of the variable. And you can have different data types within a dictionary. So this type here is called a dictionary. If we run this and then now we check the data type, it's actually written as dict. So this is going to be dictionary. Another type is sequence. So sequence, there are three types of sequences. So we can have a list, a tuple, a tuple, and then you can also have a range. So a list is simply something that you can slice and you can change it. So we have this list containing names of fruits. So we have apple, banana, and apple. So if you run this and then you check the type, it is apple. But then if we check, for example, the fruits, you see apple has been repeated. The apple has been repeated twice. But here under sets, as I mentioned, it is going to expunge any repetition, so you're going to have unique identifiers. So I hope that helps you remember that we have something else that looks nearly close to a set, but it's different, and it's called a list. A list is usually assigned using these brackets. We also have a tuple. A tuple, once you have assigned the value, you cannot change it. So that is the key difference, and you can see that it's usually assigned using these brackets. And finally, the range. So if you want, for example, to define numbers that follow a certain sequence, say numbers from 1, 2, 3 up to number 600. Why on earth would you want to waste your time writing 1, 2, 3 to 100? You can use a sequence as a function, so a range to define that sequence. So simply write the keyword range, open a bracket, and then write the first number that you want to appear in that range, and then the last number that you want to appear in that range. And now it is going to give you this sequence of numbers. And you can see here, it actually shows you 1, 3. Then how do you know what numbers are contained in this range? You are going to use something we call a for loop, and we are going to come into that later. And when we run this, it's going to tell you now this range contains the number 1 and 2. But you don't need always to define where the range starts. For example, you can just write this, and now we can have, let's say, 23. So this means it is going to begin from wherever those numbers usually begin up to number 23. And now when we run this and now check all through, it's still a range. And now the sequence is going to write from 0 to 23 because Python usually begins counting from 0. And now when we check the numbers that are here, they're going to be 0 through 22 because 23 is going to be excluded. Again, you can show something we call step. Step simply means I want you to generate numbers from number 11 to number 23. So 11 here means start from number 11, stop before number 23. So that's going to be number 22. But now you can also define how many steps it's going to take. For example, after every 3 numbers. So when you run this and now check, it's still a range, but the sequence is now going to change. So it is first number is 11. The last number is going to be 23, but it's going to be in steps of 3. And now when you check those numbers, it's 11, 14, 17, and 20. In future, you will notice that data will exist in different data types, and you don't need to be entering or inputting the data every other day. You can change one data type to another. And here is an example. Let's say you have a variable called x, and it is assigned these fruits. So if we run this cell and check what data type this is, we can find that this is a tuple. And we have actually discussed that already up there, how tuples are defined. But then we don't want to work with a tuple. We want to work with a set. So the only thing you need to do, as I said, this is a keyword. So you can change this tuple to a set by simply assigning a different variable or still the same variable and then use the keyword set. So for example, you're going to write y and then assign the set x, and x is what we already have here. Then now it is going to be, this is a set. And if you are not satisfied, you can always check that this is actually a set. Also, you can define that as a list. For example, you want a list containing all the data in the set y, so you're going to use the keyword list and then now assign y, and then you can always run this, and now you will have type z is going to be list. So this is how you can change one data type to another.